It's too Scottish.
I always remember thinking, this is very Scottish.
I thought that Murray looked a bit like a sex offender.
I remember thinking, I'm not sure I get this because it's so Scottish.
But that's a good look to me, so that attracted me immediately.
Yeah, and I remember friends of mine talking about it and going, have you seen Absolutely? You know, and we said, oh, it's brilliant. And as I say, too Scottish.
The sketches are much longer for a start.
Who's Donna George? What the fuck was that about?
It's a very good title, Absolutely.
I thought what was refreshing about it, it was entirely creating its own world. A world where if a woman wears a beard at a council meeting, no one comments on it. It's perfectly reasonable. Everything was slightly out of focus, everything was slightly odd, everything was slightly distorted, which I thought was very, very good.
It had its own world, it created its own world, and it kind of was its own world within comedy, and that's part of it, what's great about it, and part of its problem, I think.
You got every style of sketch imaginable, and the only consistent defining feature was that it was that set of people.
You know, it's like a circle around it, you know, in which everyone within it knew what they were doing and created their own little universe.
So that means you might get Pete Bakey doing a tune on a skateboard, or you might get Jeff the Parky, or you might get, you know, the point was it was a whole, smorgasbord.
But maybe it needed to have a few more roads out into the world, whatever they might be.
A lot of emotionally disturbed people kind of gathered together in one space, almost sectionable under the Mental Health Act, but probably not quite. I don't think I could have justified that, as I was a psychiatric nurse at the time.
It's slightly unhinged.
It was refreshing. It came out of nowhere. It had no antecedent. And it just felt like people having fun. It genuinely felt like people having fun.
Absolutely always seemed slightly messy to me, which I kind of, and a bit dark, you know, and I loved all that.
I think there's also been, which I think is very much an offshoot of Absolutely, actually, it shows like the League of Gentlemen and stuff like that. Now, I like the League of Gentlemen, but what I don't like about the League of Gentlemen is that they sometimes seem self-consciously grotesque and dark to me. Whereas Absolutely had a sort of dark and grotesque element to it, but it never felt like it was wearing it on its sleeve.
But that's a kind of phrase that's used a lot, isn't it, about, or has been about contemporary comedy, and it's often used as though it's a wonderful thing. Oh, it's really dark, you know, and I think, well, you know, something, it doesn't necessarily, just because something's dark, doesn't necessarily mean it's good, and doesn't necessarily mean it's funny. I never really felt that about Absolutely. I didn't think, there's a rich seam of dark comedy being mined here. I just looked, there was Frank Ovis on the bog again.
The other thing Absolutely did, it wasn't terribly right on. In fact, it was quite right off, I think, a lot of the time. And there was, good attacks on middle-class couples who had this baby, but it wasn't black enough, and they wanted it to be blacker. And again, there wasn't a lot of that around. Everyone was a touch po-faced about that sort of thing. And that, again, was very refreshing.
It's almost the chemical reaction of these 6 individuals and that black fella that they don't talk about, coming together for 4 very, very special series.
When did it come out?
1989 was the first series, and it went to 1983.
It went from 1989 to 1983, so it went back in time.
It went back in time. Yeah,
you mean 93?
That was the surrealness of the show. Yeah, no, I do. Sorry, right. I'm very bad.
Yeah,
at
well,
this.
as I say, I remember it. Yeah, and I remember watching it, and it was kind of, it had that kind of Python-esque, you know, feel about it in this sort of, you know, sketch ended and some sort of linking device into the next one, which was a nice idea. Probably was quite limiting after a while. Did it get on your nerves doing it?
Completely. I'm here to tell you now.
Oh God,
the worst.
We've got to throw the bloody handkerchief into the next sketch.
I mean, we liked it. The people that didn't, we liked the reason that we did it, and I'm quite happy to confess this. And I think you actually probably came up with a better but different solution.
We just stopped.
Yeah, was the punchline.
Yes.
We hated not being able to put things, especially the character stuff, because of a lack of punchline. So our solution to that was that.
Yeah.
You then watched Absolutely, thought, that's a fucking awful idea. Let's do something else. Let's just not worry about it and see if anyone notices.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what we did. We just thought, well, let's not bother with a punchline. You know, we're bored of this sketch. No doubt the audience at home are. Let's get on with it.
I think the difference between Absolutely and Python was Absolutely felt a lot more accessible. Python was a bit up its own arse, and I am often a lone voice in the world of comedy I didn't think Python was that funny. I think Absolutely is considerably funnier.
I know, I concur with that, and also it's only because of the chronology of events that Monty Python isn't described as absolutely-esque. It's only because, only because it's a bit Old Testament, New Testament.
Right.
And it's
The
only
New Testament was
because
never going to come off.
and that's, you know,
just
that's
because
why
of
stuff's
chronology.
never pre-modern, it's all post-modern.
I don't know, you tell me, but it seemed like there was a sort of closeness about the team.
Completely.
You know, that genuinely, you know, was just not a kind of, you weren't thrown together, you weren't put together by a Svengali like the Spice Girls, or indeed the Sex Pistols.
I remember Murray dressed up in some kind of hideous tweedy affair. I think sort of golfing trousers that.
Yes.
Because I had
Could have been
quite a
Don
lot of-
and George, maybe.
That's who it was.
With Jack, with John.
Yes, with John, that's right. Sexual fantasies about that outfit for a long time. And I thought John looked like Tax Personality of the Year, which is an awards ceremony I've been trying to present for years.
What I liked a lot about Absolutely was the slight obsession with language, which everything was slightly pedantic, everything was sort of challenged and rephrased, and there was a sort of a genuine pleasure in words.
Tell you what, I really enjoyed the Don and George one when they were doing their gag. What, are you going to comb your hair now or then? Was it? How did it work?
Are you going to comb your hair then? I'm going to go.
I'm going to comb my hair now.
Yeah.
And then they even did it, which was like a Jim and Bob type thing, and it predated Jim and Bob actually.
I think one area where I'm slightly obsessed is language, and I think that is, you can trace that right back to Don and George, that love of language, and it inspired us.
Yeah.
We've actually prepared Don and George sketches in Punjabi. Okay?
Should it?
Okay. Oh, good dog, Mr. Sanjeev.
Good day, Mr. George. Alright.
Ik love it, cantankerous.
I'm checking it down, is it?
How?
I think absolutely he decided it was going to be surreal and silly and not ashamed of that, which I thought was hugely refreshing, because there'd come a slight point where we'd all been a bit serious about satire and comedy and discussed it very self-importantly for quite a long time, and John and Murray were just unashamedly silly. But I don't think it means they weren't doing material that had something to say. I mean, I think Stonybridge, for example, is almost all councils there have ever been, and in fact most meetings there have ever been. I mean, I remember when Stonybridge got the Olympics, thinking, you know, this is absolutely terrific. This is what it would be like if, say, ludicrously anywhere in Britain got the Olympics. And my guess is that the Stonybridge Olympics would be better run.
There was something we used to say. You can go now. If you wait till Tuesday. Good night, sir. We used to say that all the time.
That was our.
I just still love that.
That was great.
Stonybridge. You know, I've been thinking about Absolutely because the DVD's coming out, and I remember going. There's a club called the Sub Club in Glasgow, and I used to go clubbing when I was younger and a different shape to it as I am now. And I remember the bouncers going on about Stonybridge, and I just remember thinking,
If you've got the
you've got the bouncers. If you've got the bouncers on side, you're cooking with that. And then it seemed to be for, I don't know if it was my imagination, but for about a month, everyone was talking about Absolutely. And remember John Majors?
Yes.
He said, I think you're guilty of Stonybridge politics.
Yes.
To Neil Kinnock. Do you remember that?
Stonybridge politics.
Stonybridge politics, and it was in the Sun, it was Stonybridge politics, and
But also,
just for a while, it just felt that, you know.
will you have a cream egg, Gordon?
I will. Thank you very much.
Cream egg.
I'll have a cream egg, yeah.
I'll hold it.
I flicked onto Morwenna doing her little girl sitting
Right.
on a table and just thought, bloody hell, this is fantastic. It was so funny. And I think the thing is, if you're a woman performer, you don't see many other women in comedy things. So when you do see one who's doing really funny stuff, it immediately makes your brain expand with joy. And so it was then kind of appointment viewing from then.
She's a bit less than complimentary about her performances as the kid, but I always thought the kid was very funny. She says, "Oh, it's overacting," and all that. But if you watch it and listen to it again, there's a bit of Frank Spencer. No, no, oh, like that. You'd love me for that, wouldn't you?
Looking at Wen's monologues, her soliloquies, they were ahead of their time. You know, this was, you know, French and Saunders weren't really the force they are now by any means. There weren't women, funny women, writing that sort of edgy stuff. I mean, I don't even know what Victoria Wood was doing.
When I watch Some of the Little Girl, when I watch the old artist character, they're really funny, but there's also a slight edge of mania to them, I think.
Yeah.
And I like that because I think it's unusual from a woman.
I think what made Morwenna different was that she was really a very good comedy performer in her own right.
Callum Gulhooly I liked a lot. I thought that was very funny. But that was Murray Hunter playing a sort of terribly boring and irritating man who just got funnier.
Well, Callum Gilhooly had some lovely lines in it. The one that sticks out is the passport one. Have you got a case for it? Well, I'll keep it in my rack, which is brilliant. Callum Gilhooly, I think, he had a kind of, just that kind of idiot nonsense which people love. People really like.
But such a vulnerability about him, you know.
Yeah.
He's
And
interesting.
remember that one where he tried to organise a drink with
Yeah.
his 10 past 8, 10 past 8 then, but between them time, like, just before closing, just after closing, and he said, oh, just go for a drink with
Just
him,
go for a
please,
drink,
go for a
Callum.
drink.
But my mother-in-law loves Callum.
That's right, I remember you saying that.
Her
Yeah.
favourite character. The only character from British comedy she ever references by name is Callum Gully. That's a woman that was born and brought up in South India
Yeah.
and came to Britain as an immigrant. And I mean, very sophisticated tastes, loves television, loves comedy. But for Callum to cross that cultural and that generational, I mean, something about Callum and just the way Murray played it, the bravery in just not responding too good, having that silence and having that beat.
I was a big fan of John Sparks. I don't remember Shadwell. Did you?
No, Shadwell was
Wasn't
in.
on absolutely, was
no,
it?
it was in Naked
It was
Video.
Frank Hovis.
Yes.
It was always on the toilet.
And I always really liked the characters he did. My favourite, of course, being Frank Hovis, because my personal habits are very similar to Frank Hovis. I often shit myself in cabs, vomit over people's backs. So that was great.
I like very much the 80s video.
Yeah.
Again, that's a one-off. See, that's just a one-off
Yeah.
sketch thing. You did quite a lot of music though, didn't you? Quite
Yeah,
a lot of
well,
music and quite a lot of animation
we
and
had to keep
graphics.
Pete very busy.
If there was a part of the show that sometimes made me go, what the fuck's that about? It was the songs, because you were visually arrested because they were a different style, they were almost artistic, and you had to watch them again and again. And we started, you know, it took a little bit more time to get into the songs.
Yeah, but it's a cracking tune. I mean, Bank Holiday is brilliant.
Yeah.
And just the
Do you know-
but there's one I remember in particular which was Pete Bakey, who is just he's almost like a kite marker quality. If Pete Bakey's involved, it's usually good. But doing the Pavarotti guy.
Oh, the Laughing Man.
My other car is a Porsche.
And I just kept coming back to that. It was just.
But him singing the words Mini Metro, I've not seen it since, and I've just remembered it now. And I've, you know, if it's on the DVD, I
It will
would.
be.
Oh,
He's
him,
got funny
him
voice.
just singing Mini Metro.
Yeah, I think it has been influential, actually. Absolutely. I don't know. I mean, how's it been? Has it been influential in Scotland? Would you say? Is it fondly remembered?
Yeah,
I think it is fondly remembered.
I think the interesting thing about
I'll tell you one of the reasons why perhaps it's kind of escaped, you know, a
Yeah.
lot of attention. It's not been repeated. You know, since, well, like you say, what was it, 93
Yeah.
or something like that. It's not been repeated, which is a shame. Really, it should be.
But it's Channel 4, and that's their sort of policy in a way, which is.
Is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Well, you see, that's there. Well, there you made your mistake, didn't you? Going to Channel 4. You know what I mean? If you got the BBC, you could be played endlessly now on Discovery Channel and earn a penny an episode. And everyone would be heartily sick of you. You have that rarity value now. It's like you all died. It's like you were assassinated. So you never know, the DVD might fly off the shelf. But you need a repeat, don't you? Wouldn't that be nice? Can't you
Yeah, it would
Yeah.
be nice.
I think so.
Yeah.
It was very, very underrated.
When Channel 4 did their whatever,
Yeah,
25,
50,
25 years, it was ignored completely criminally.
Yeah.
And, I know you all, I know none of you are people who are going to kind of shout about your reputation from the rooftops, which is very good. But it's actually not necessarily that helpful in terms of, showbiz, which is a world full of...
So again, it wasn't picked up in the way that certain sketch shows are picked up, fated, and then dumped. Series 1, everyone says, isn't it marvellous? Series 2, oh, it's gone off. Series 3, oh, we're so bored of this. And then it disappears. That didn't happen to Absolutely, but I think it was more consistent, but less appreciated.
I'll put the question back to you this way. What was there left for you to do? Because for us, you in many ways launched our career as writers. And if you launched our career as writers, I'm getting goosebumps talking about this, Gordon. That's how sincere and heartfelt it is. If you launched us on our way, and if you inspired us 20 years on to still be quoting Absolutely, I think your work was done.